Thank you for joining me on State of Belief Radio. I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself and tell our audience some of the reasons that I'm wanting to talk with you and that they should know what you're doing.
My name is Rabbi Shmuley Boteach. Why should they want to listen to me? Because I'm a Jew in a Jewish museum, kind of like a Jewish guy in his native environment. So maybe I could help illuminate where we are.
And you also, since we're here for the DNC, could tell them something about your political campaign.
Well, I am here for the DNC, and last week I was in Cleveland for the RNC. I love the political conventions because they're a celebration of democracy. I think we take it for granted that we can get up and advocate for candidates, express our opinions, and no one's like locking us up, and we don't have to be afraid that any second we're going to be censored or imprisoned. So, whereas many people see the political process this year as nothing but a circus, and it is very entertaining, I see in it just all of the intricacies of a people that are free, a nation that is free, and expressing its freedom. So I love the political conventions.
Tell me how you walk the tightrope between religion and politics getting entangled, and religion playing its proper role and government playing its role in the nation. How do you walk that line?
Well, I actually think that it's very straightforward. It's very simple, simpler than we might think. There's a separation between church and state in the United States, which is great. America has one God, but it has no religion. There's no religion that's imposed. So what religion must seek to do, therefore, is influence the political dialogue through values as opposed to a particular faith. The fact is that Jews, Christians, Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists, we really share common values. We all believe in the infinite, the spark of the divine that is in every human being. We believe in the equality of mankind. Those are religious ideas. They're not ideas that we extract from, say, evolutionary biology. They're ideas that we extract from theology. But they permeate the body politic. Everyone believes it, which is why we believe, hey guys, which is why we believe that we should all be respecting each other. There are many other important religious beliefs. Take the idea of human dignity, the fact that there's a specific dignity that we should not be compromising, and why we should respect each other, and why there should be political dialogue as opposed to wars and battles in the streets, why every opinion matters, why everyone deserves a vote. When you think about it, democracy seems to be a crazy crazy form of political government. The Nobel Prize-winning economist gets only one vote, along with the guy that doesn't even know how to spell economics. Yes, they get the same vote because they each have equal human dignity. They are of equal infinite worth. So, wow, we got like a whole little crowd over here already. So that's why religion can influence the political debate without it being religious. It's about values.
Yeah. We covered the Republican convention as well as we're covering this convention this week. I'm curious, what similarities or what contrast do you see between the two conventions?
Well, I was on the floor of the Democratic convention last night. My friend Cory Booker was one of the speakers. Michelle Obama gave an incredible speech. And I was at all 4 days of the RNC. As a Jew, first and foremost, I would like to hear a few more mentions of the friendship of our great ally, the State of Israel, in some of the Democratic speeches. That was a common theme that we saw at the RNC. On the other hand, the DNC has this great kosher stand, which we didn't have at the RNC. At the RNC, to get kosher food, I had to go into the suite of the Republican Jewish Coalition. But I didn't see the great kosher hot dogs, which are at the DNC. There's a lot of people at the DNC here in Philadelphia that are wearing stickers that say, I'd say maybe a quarter of the participants I saw last night are wearing stickers that say, we support Palestinian human rights. Now, all of us support Palestinian human rights, especially those of us in the pro-Israel community. We want Palestinians to have the same rights that Jews and Israeli Arabs have, but they're not being granted to them by Hamas or by the Palestinian Authority under Mahmoud Abbas. So a lot of these stickers seem to be an attack on Israel when really Israel is the great Arab hope, because Israel is the light of freedom and democracy in the Middle East, thereby demonstrating that respect for women, LGBT rights can all be respected in the Middle East. If our Palestinian brothers and sisters were granted the same by their governing bodies, especially Hamas, which is officially a terrorist organization, but even by Mahmoud Abbas, who hasn't gone to elections in 6 years. He's 6 years past his term was supposed to be 4 years. He's now in his 11th year. Then they would have those rights. So we all hope that they'll get them.
One last question. If you had an opportunity to talk privately with Donald Trump, what one thing would you want him to hear from you?
I'd want him to hear that that apologies are something that come from strength and not weakness. I don't demonize Trump. I think that demonizing each other on both sides of the aisle is a mistake. Trump appeals to a lot of Americans because of his candor. He appeals to a lot of Americans because they think that beltway politics is utterly broken. But when Trump has said or done things that the public has found offensive, it's no big deal to simply come along and say, look, I didn't mean to offend. I'm sorry if people feel a sense of woundedness, and let's move on. But that's also true, I think, of the Democratic Party. I think that both candidates are finding it difficult to take responsibility and say sorry in this election cycle. The fact is that we in the Jewish religion, our holiest day of the year is Yom Kippur. It's not a day that we blow the shofar the ram's horn. It's not a day that we eat the unleavened cakes of the matzah. It's rather a day that we simply come before God, acknowledge our fallibility, our humanity. We offer an apology to God, and we say, give us another year so we can move on. I don't see why we can't translate that into politics. So I would ask both, and I just wrote a column about this as well, both Bill Clinton and, both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, that when you make mistakes in the political process, say you're sorry and move on. Look, the DNC started with a scandal this week. And it started with a scandal with a Jewish congresswoman who was the most powerful female Jewish congresswoman maybe in American history, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who was forced to resign her position as the chairwoman of the DNC. And why? Because she was supposed to be neutral and she favored a candidate. Ironically, who was also Jewish, although she favored a candidate, Hillary Clinton, ironically against Bernie Sanders, who's Jewish. Not that anyone cares about the ethnicities here. I guess she just felt that Hillary was the front runner. Be that as it may, she should have just gotten up and said, I made a mistake. I'm very sorry. Both campaigns, both parties seem to be unwilling and incapable of apologizing to the American people. Now, what is the principal contribution that the Jewish people have made, as opposed to our Christian brothers and sisters, to political dialogue, to world events? It's the fact that we don't have a Jesus figure in our religion. We don't have that God-man who's infallible. We have Moses who makes mistakes. Abraham makes mistakes. All of our great biblical figures are human beings doing their best to lead godly lives. And they are biblical figures specifically because of the struggle they have to do better. I don't want American politicians pretending to be perfect. So if Trump is imperfect, some people would say highly imperfect, let him acknowledge that. Let him accept responsibility when he makes an error and move on. The same thing would have been true with Hillary Clinton and her email scandal a long time ago. Had she come forward and said it was a big mistake, shouldn't have done it, let me take responsibility and move on. The problem is that today everyone thinks that an apology is an admission of guilt, and that's why they shy away from it. But the American public expects, above all else, from our public officials, accountability.
Rabbi, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope you have a great convention.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.